This episode is sponsored by Anchor. Right now, it is a good time to use Anchor so you can create your own podcast. I use Anchor, and you guys do not know how much I love using Anchor.fm. You can edit your episodes in one place. It is completely free to edit your episodes on Anchor. There is no storage limit, no long term contracts, and no limited features. You can monetize your podcast without an audience and listenership. Your podcast is also published on other listening platforms that include Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, etc. You will not regret using Anchor.fm. New listeners or first time listeners, I appreciate you guys. You can follow this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. This podcast is available on other listening platforms. I'm going to be the only main speaker for this episode. No one else is speaking with me. This podcast is also available on Instagram and YouTube. You can listen to the following episodes on YouTube. It's completely free. I'm not charging anyone to listen to the episodes on YouTube. This episode is going to be about pop culture. Before I start speaking in this episode, I need to put in a disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not speaking to give you guys professional family advice, legal advice, and relationship advice. I'm not an accountant. I'm not speaking to give you guys financial advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not a relationship counselor. I'm not a family therapist. If you want professional advice, then find a professional because I'm not the one. I don't have all of the answers. This episode is no means to over exaggerate things. I will do my best not to. I'm speaking to form my opinion about this topic. I will be talking about someone very well known. What is everyone up to? Welcome to another episode of the Bury Weird podcast. I am Alex, the main speaker for this episode. Call me Bury. I hope that you guys are doing well today. I hope that this episode brightens up your mood. I will be doing a lot of explaining in this episode. By the way, I'm going to highlight the good stuff about Kobe Bryant and the real stuff about him. I want to talk about the stuff that has been going on with Kobe Bryant's dynamic with his family, Vanessa Bryant and Vanessa Bryant's mother. I'm going to talk about Kobe Bryant a lot. I will do a breakdown on these people. I had to wait for some updates, so I know it's a good time to discuss this. Most importantly, it's right to talk about why Kobe's parents did not get along with Vanessa and her mother. I want to talk about Vanessa because she had a significant impact in Kobe's life. It's right to have an open discussion because Kobe's parents have been labeled as the scapegoat. They were labeled as deadbeat or absent parents. It's right to talk about why the marriage between Vanessa and Kobe was not genuine from the start. Let's include why Kobe's parents did not get along with Vanessa as well as her mother. This episode will include why Vanessa's mother is shady and a greedy, money-hungry person. I actually want to talk about Kobe's personal life and how he was successful. I have to do other breakdowns as well. I want to talk about his parents and how they grew up, discuss the background of the family. Let's include Vanessa's character in the equation. I will go in depth about why Vanessa is not meant to be trusted, as well as the mother. I will include the major people who were in their lives at one point in time. When the news broke out that Kobe and his daughter Gigi passed away, I felt crushed. It hit people all over the world. People were globally sending their prayers. I was emotional because it was something that was heartbreaking. I did not want to believe that it happened to Kobe and his daughter Gigi. Kobe Bryant will always be one of the most athletic, famous icons in the world. When people hear devastating news, it's never easy to get past it. If I'm making sense, people grieve differently. It bothered me when I heard about the family dynamic because it was very toxic and dysfunctional. It's one thing if people want to label Kobe in a certain way, Kobe's parents too. To me, Kobe always believed in love when he was married to Vanessa. What I'm so tired of is that the mainstream media outlets portrayed the parents to be insignificant and a non-factor because Colby showed resentment towards them. There shouldn't be any reason why the media is putting them in a bad light. Just because the parents did not speak to the public often, it doesn't make it right that they were bad parents towards Colby. I wish that the media was not simple-minded because Colby's parents were judged when he was not close with them. I don't feel bad for Vanessa in any type of way because and her true character. I was actually grieving in silence. My condolences go out to his family, including his parents and his two sisters. This is not meant to be a joke. I remember the first time I heard of Kobe Bryant. I can never forget about it. I want to say 8 or 9 years old. I'm not into basketball, but Kobe Bryant was one of the few basketball players that made me recognize the NBA, including Michael Jordan, Shaq O'Neal, and LeBron James. Kobe Bryant was one of the main reasons I recognized the NBA. The stuff about the mother in law actually bothered me as well as Vanessa. What made me furious and insulted is that Kobe's parents were not acknowledged at the funeral. I'll go over that later. When I first heard about the marriage, nothing sat well with me. It was seen as not a big deal, and the age gap was very big between Vanessa and Kobe. Of the way she was being praised, let me make that clear. I feel that the mainstream media should have focused more on Vanessa's mother. That includes where it started when Kobe's parents wanted nothing to do with Vanessa and the mother. My thoughts are that the mainstream media gave Vanessa a lot of shine because Kobe was married to her, and I don't play the whole let's put this person on a pedestal. That's how I look at it. That's the way that a lot of people see it. Let me go over some parts that maybe some people don't know about Kobe Bryant. When Kobe was 6 years old, the family moved to Italy. He was very fluent in Italian when his family lived there. He went to a high school in Philadelphia. That's the city that I was born in. His father was a basketball player for the Sixers and other basketball teams. He began considering going directly to the pros. So those are some facts that people shouldn't forget about Kobe Bryant. His reason to be a basketball player came from his father. Bryant earned national recognition during a spectacular high school career at Lower Merion High School, located in Ardmore, Philadelphia. He was the first freshman in decades to start for Lower Merion's varsity team, but the team finished with a 420 record. The following 3 years, the Aces compiled a 77-13 record, with Bryant playing all five positions. During his junior year, he averaged 31.1 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 5.2 assists, and was named Pennsylvania Player of the Year, attracting attention from college recruiters in the process. Duke, Michigan, North Carolina, and Villanova were at the top of his list. However, when Kevin Garnett went in the first round of the 1995 NBA draft, in the next segment, I want to talk about my thoughts on the marriage between Vanessa and Kobe Bryant. I also feel that Kobe was married to Vanessa because it was forced. Kobe was looking for love. I felt that he was forced to love her enough to take care of her and the mother. To be honest, I didn't find the marriage between Kobe and Vanessa genuine. Like I said before, it has been reported that Kobe didn't want a prenup because he always loved Vanessa. I didn't know what a prenup was until high school because I never knew that it existed. Overall, I learned that it's risky to not sign a prenup because before you are going to get married, because something can drastically happen to you while you are married to someone else. I mean, financially, it's not always about divorce. That is the perception a lot of people have when it comes to a prenup. It seemed that he was not thinking about what could happen to his money if something drastically happened to the marriage. At the same time, he probably did not think about how vulnerable his assets would be when he signed up. It seemed that Colby was focused on loving Vanessa because he was married to her. Colby loved Vanessa more than she loved him. That's just my opinion. When Kobe was married to Vanessa, he had the opportunity to balance things out with his own family. He could have kept in touch with his family after the marriage. They would have remained close and kept in touch with each other on a regular basis. For a prenup, actually, he didn't sign up for a prenup. I felt that Colby spoiled Vanessa because that is what he knows and that is how he grew up. He probably didn't know the extent of spoiling people. To me, Vanessa must have performed a horrible spell on Kobe Bryant more than she loved Kobe. She saw money or dollar signs as an opportunity to live comfortably. Personally, I don't respect that. It's suspicious because Vanessa never once protected him or defended him when he was going through real problems while they were married. While Vanessa was married to Kobe, I can conclude that being first was part of Vanessa's agenda as well as the mother being one of the main priorities. To me, Vanessa was selfish throughout the marriage. She always came off as too comfortable in a marriage, not worrying about paying for anything in a marriage. That's what Sophia Lane wanted from her so she can gain financial support from their marriage. As a parent, the last thing you would do is to be worried about financial support so you can benefit yourself and get further in life. Again, I'm not a marriage counselor, so I don't know everything. At the end of the day, something could happen to your assets prior to your marriage. I always believed that Kobe was into Vanessa before he got married. He probably didn't care about the money and how his money was going to be affected. Let me make that part clear. Vanessa was never the first girlfriend of Kobe Bryant. That's what the mainstream media was trying to portray. I also felt that Vanessa was married to him because she saw him as the opportunity to be rich so she can inherit the money from him. To me, it seemed that she was focused on being rich. It is how a marriage should be if you have nothing to lay back on, meaning meaning if you had something to make money for yourself. Of course she made money from being a video vixen, but that didn't last long. I'm not saying that Vanessa stole money from Kobe in a marriage because I'm not running with that narrative and there's no proof of it. Vanessa should have realized that Kobe deserved to be treated better when Kobe loved her. That's the way I look at it. I'm very suspicious of her character because I don't know how much Vanessa treated Kobe. I highly believe that Vanessa's mother sold her own daughter for money and Vanessa sold her soul to the devil. The idea about Vanessa is very suspicious because it makes me wonder how much did she have Kobe's back off of the spotlight. I just felt that Vanessa didn't care about his future and what his future will be like in a marriage. I don't think Vanessa did enough to defend Kobe from her mother. Unfortunately, she cared about her future and the mother enforced upon her enough to force the marriage between her and Kobe Bryant. It doesn't change that I feel sorry because Vanessa lost her own husband and the daughter. Vanessa learned it from her mother. I would not be with someone who has nothing and they are likely going to financially hurt me. That's the lesson everyone has to learn if people want to be married because I've heard horrifying stories about it. A lot of people believe that Vanessa is shady when she was married to Kobe. I actually see where it's coming from. Her character didn't sit well with me before she was married to Kobe Bryant. I feel Vanessa believed it was the way for her to last long in a relationship. Let's not forget that Vanessa had ulterior motives. I think that it's possible that Vanessa thought to be married to Kobe. While Vanessa and Kobe were married, they lived a lavish lifestyle. They lived in this huge mansion. And this exemplifies why Vanessa is money hungry because Vanessa was sued by several maids for underpaid wages and she was exposed. I still stand by that Vanessa always trapped Kobe in a marriage. It sounds possible that Kobe saw the evil in Vanessa, but he chose to love her anyways. Maybe Kobe saw it, but he ignored it. While I am on the next segment about Kobe's parents, I want to go in depth about how they felt about the marriage. Kobe Bryant was at a legal age to be married, let's say 21 years old, but Vanessa was not. She was 17 years old at that time. That is why the parents did not agree with it. They recognized that the age gap was very big. It was also reported that the parents did not agree with the marriage because she is a Latina woman, not a black woman. The parents were never close with Vanessa and the mother once Vanessa and Colby were married. I also feel that the parents were not too fond of her because maybe they realized that Vanessa is a gold digger. A lot of people were not feeling Vanessa for being married to Kobe Bryant. I did not see a good reason why Kobe was married to Vanessa. A lot of people are upset that the marriage was not real, and I can empathize with that. Many people can tell that Vanessa did not reciprocate the love towards Kobe. I can't take away that she knows how to be a good mother. In this next segment, I have to talk about Kobe's parents. It's about Kobe's family, including Kobe's parents, first Vanessa and her mother, and Kobe's dynamic with his own family. I may have discussed it a little bit, but I have to go over it a little more. It's very clear that Kobe's parents were never close with Vanessa and the mother. There are good reasons why the parents wanted nothing to do with that family, Vanessa's family. In the current segment, I need to go in depth about why the parents wanted nothing to do with Vanessa and the mother, why the media should stop portraying them in a negative way. This is very insulting because the parents were not being credited for shaping and raising Kobe Bryant, who he was as a person. Without Kobe Bryant's parents, Kobe would not be playing basketball and he would not be successful with his basketball career. His parents made sure that he had a successful career, therefore, he did very well in his career before he was married to Vanessa. Every time I think about Kobe's parents, I think about giving his parents praises and commending them because they shaped who he was, including his career. I feel bad for Kobe's parents because they have grandkids. Their son passed away and their granddaughter Gigi passed away. That must be hard for them. I find it very sad for the parents and his two sisters. They haven't had a complete chance to connect with their grandkids while Kobe was alive. Therefore, the parents would have a complete chance of connecting with their grandkids. Most people dislike Vanessa because she was spiteful towards Kobe's parents, and I agree with it. If Vanessa cared about the relationship between Kobe and the parents, then there is a chance he would be close. I also feel bad for Kobe's kids. I wish that the parents were close with Kobe's kids because Kobe became a married man and a father to them. The way I look at it is that Vanessa was interfering with Kobe's relationship with his family, including his parents. Vanessa was aware that Kobe's relationship with his family was estranged. It's no secret that Kobe's parents did not get along with Vanessa and the mother. I think that it seemed that the parents were aware Vanessa wanted to be married to Kobe because of the wealth that he had. I find it real that Vanessa was benefiting from Kobe more than she loved him. That's a red flag with their marriage. The parents were bothered by it, and I believe that. I can't be mad at the parents for feeling that way. I find it clear that the mother was toxic to Kobe Bryant. This is probably why Kobe's parents were not at the wedding and the ceremony, if that makes sense. I feel the parents were also bothered that Sofia wanted to be spoiled by Kobe Bryant because she didn't work and she was unemployed. That was also because she was divorced by her ex-husband. If that's the case, Kobe's parents were not wrong for feeling that way in my eyes. It's clear that the parents were not fond of Sofia because Sofia cared about money and she did not actually love him. I highly believe that Sofia did not respect ultimate betrayal that Kobe married Vanessa. According to the parents, the way I look at it is that the parents might have thought Vanessa was not raised well by her mother because it was about money. That was probably something the parents did not like about Vanessa. The parents were never taught to be greedy with money growing up, while Kobe was married and they did not connect with him while he was alive. They were not the richest people. I think that the parents were aware that Vanessa did not like them because they did not agree with the marriage, that the parents were the ones who raised Kobe Bryant to be a successful person. It's bad to say this because Kobe's parents did the right thing by being judgmental towards Vanessa and the mother. It sounds harsh. I can't blame the parents for not getting to know the daughter and the mother, and they still refuse to get to know the both of them. If I were them and I met someone's love life and their parents who had bad intentions, I would not want to get to know them as a parent. That is for the parents and his two sisters. I have to trust the parents because they were right about things that were shady going on in Kobe's life. They were never wrong about anything. It seemed that the parents were aware the mother-in-law had bad intentions when it came down to money. The parents know that Colby wanted to be in love with Vanessa, and Colby was too blind to see Vanessa was nothing but an opportunist. I highly believe the parents were aware she was a gold digger. That still bothers me when it comes down to their marriage, and I wish that Colby could have seen it earlier, way before he was married to Vanessa. It breaks my heart to say that because they were the same people that had his back and stood by him. I wish that Colby had their backs enough to focus on his basketball career and not be married to Vanessa Bryant. His life would be completely different without Vanessa Bryant. He should have sided with his parents' gut. Vanessa Bryant shouldn't have been married in the first place. Everyone got to see what it was, and no one was foolish enough to praise Vanessa. I find it questionable that she didn't. If Colby did not cut ties with his parents, then he would spend more time with his parents and his two sisters. If Vanessa and the mother were not in the picture, then he would have been close with his family. Colby didn't need to owe the mother-in-law anything, including a dime. Colby didn't need to help his mother-in-law with raising her net worth because she never worked hard for anything. In the current segment, I'm going to talk about his relationship with his family. I remembered when the parents put something up at an auction and Colby was mad about it. It was his jersey. I can understand Colby's feelings because it did hurt him. It upset him. He felt that it was done out of malice. Overall, he felt that he was betrayed by his parents. The parents would not have sold his memorabilia if he helped them, so they would not struggle financially. The parents made a public apology towards Colby Bryant. And the thing is that the parents never lived an extravagant lifestyle. Colby was not on the best terms with his parents because they were never pleased with the marriage. I'm not sure how much Colby may have had ample time to repair his relationship with his parents, but it remained estranged because he was not close with them. He reconnected with his parents at some point in time after the marriage. However, it didn't last long. Colby was not in their life after he was upset about the memorabilia. They were struggling, and that is why they sold the memorabilia, and Vanessa bought it. It would be permanently nice and caring that Colby financially supported his parents and his sisters before he became a father. That would help them a lot. The parents must have wished that Colby was aware Vanessa was nothing but an opportunist before he was married to her. That goes for the mother-in-law as well. The real part is that the parents cared about Colby's achievements more than Vanessa and her mother did. The parents should have been entitled enough to be taken care of as well as his sisters by Colby Bryant because his father is a retired basketball player and a coach. Still, they were struggling. They never asked for anything when it came down to financial help, and I can't get mad at that because they knew how wrong this was. When Sofia and Laine was using Kobe Bryant, I felt that they didn't want to ask for financial help because they did not want to be seen as greedy the way they saw his family, including his parents, do not have a bad reputation for being greedy with money. No one can ever say that the parents and his two sisters wanted money because you would not want to be when they're rich. That's something that's not really true. His family could never do wrong in my eyes based on what I actually learned. Kobe had a lot of opportunities to make sure that his family was financially fulfilled, and he didn't really do that. He didn't make sure that his family was taken care of financially. Kobe didn't consistently make sure that his family was fine. As a parent who's not rich, I would be highly rejected and betrayed where one of my kids are not financially taking care of me lives. No matter how estranged their relationship was with Kobe, Kobe will always be marked in the parents and his two sisters was getting along while he was married. I'm not sure if Kobe's parents and his sisters got a chance to spend time. I'm not the parent, so I'm not giving you guys parent advice. I know that his parents and his two sisters would have been happy to be taken care of while he was alive. He also had a lot of opportunities to make sure that the family with his kids while he was alive. Overall, I'm very disappointed that Colby treated his parents this way and he neglected them. In other words, he turned his back on them. In the current segment, I want to talk about if Vanessa was the problem. This lets me know that Vanessa did not respect Kobe's parents to be grandparents, especially when Kobe's parents did not get along with Vanessa and her mother. The grandparents were not close with their grandkids. That is what I did not respect from Vanessa and her mother. I believe that Kobe wanted it to happen, but he did not know how to reach out to them by spending quality time with his parents. Vanessa to me was very spiteful once she became a mother. I'm sure that Vanessa's actions affected everyone else in Kobe's life, including his parents and his two sisters. I don't find it normal for most people in a marriage to tell their spouse to not take care of their own parents and their current family. That is a real level of disrespect. If Vanessa wanted to be seen in the good light by Kobe's parents' eyes, then she should have shown the good side of her, and his parents would have been close with her. In addition, the parents would have respected her as the individual parent and the wife. If Vanessa had her own thing to financially support herself in a marriage, then his parents would have respected her. I want to say that it's part of Vanessa's fault. I also need to mention that this is part of Kobe's fault. If there's an issue going on, then it needs to be resolved behind closed doors. Vanessa was always on a rampage about the issues she had with the Bryant family. I would hate to be Vanessa because people who are like Vanessa will benefit from you when they have nothing to live and fall back on. It says a lot about her character when she refused to acknowledge the parents while Kobe was alive. Once Vanessa and Kobe became parents, Vanessa never once called his parents to spend time with his kids. I feel that Vanessa did something to Kobe's parents that were not only disrespectful but offensive as well. To me, it looked like Vanessa had some hateful feelings towards the parents because they did not agree with the marriage and she was very young. I would have respected it if Vanessa was getting to know Kobe's parents once she became a mother and a wife because there's a chance she could turn things around and be close to the parents, let alone credit the parents that raised Kobe. Unfortunately, she did not give them the respect they deserved. Vanessa might have possibly looked at their disdain in the way that they were jealous of the marriage. I think Vanessa had this perception that her parents thought the marriage was not going to last long, or the parents wanted to separate Vanessa and Colby after their marriage. If that was the case, then I have to disagree with that because it's very clear that Colby was spoiling her. I always noticed that Colby was always close with Vanessa every time they walked on the red carpet together. It seemed that the parents were aware Vanessa liked being spoiled by Kobe because he had a successful basketball career before he was married. I think Vanessa was aware of that. I'm not buying it if she claims that she didn't expect Kobe was spoiling her. That's what Sofia enjoyed. The parents warned Kobe about being around her and the mother. The parents saw both Vanessa and the mother as an opportunist. In my opinion, I have to agree with it. I'm sure that people all over the world came to that conclusion. As a spouse, I wouldn't want to be spoiled because I don't think that it's the way to love someone if it means a lot to buy someone goods. That's what bothered his parents, and you can't take it away from the parents. In my opinion, I felt that money hurt his relationship with his parents. I felt that Kobe would have prevented it because he probably knew what was going on, but he didn't know how to handle it. I would love to give my parents money that birthed me just because they did so much for me. Vanessa disregarded Kobe's parents while Kobe was alive and they were married. That lets me know how much Vanessa disrespected Kobe's parents and his family. I did not like that at all, and I would never take Vanessa's side for it. I can't imagine having a spouse who would not allow my parents to spend time with their own kids. She made the family dysfunctional. What she did sounds very suspicious. At the funeral, I can imagine Vanessa alluding that the parents were never supportive of Kobe after the marriage and she would be bawling her tears. I don't know how angry Vanessa was when she blasted the parents. I remembered when Vanessa was doing nothing but dissing the parents while being married to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was alive at that time. She gave the parents every reason not to respect her and not be close with her. I can't get mad at them for staying away from her and the mother. I would not blame the parents if they knew Vanessa was obsessed with the quick, rich scheme. A lot of people feel that way. Same with Vanessa's mother. It's a red flag when Vanessa didn't financially support his parents, and that's disrespectful. While Vanessa was married to Colby, I felt that Vanessa didn't respect him enough to know that he loved his parents even though they were not on the best terms. Colby and his parents were not on speaking terms. Vanessa should have respected the sacrifice that his parents had made for him the way he grew up. I feel that Vanessa made sure that she was the first enough and her mother was taken care of over the parents. I do not like the way that she was praised by the media. In the current segment, I want to talk about Kobe's sisters. I heard some stuff about how Vanessa is close with Kobe's sister Sharia. This was a year ago after Kobe and Gigi passed. Vanessa posted an Instagram photo and said happy birthday to Sharia. In the photo, the daughter Bianca was in the photo and considered her as the sister-in-law. Actually, Vanessa considered Sharia as the sister-in-law. Sharia also posted an Instagram photo where she had a tattoo dedicated towards Gigi and Kobe. It displayed a black mamba snake with the numbers 2 and 24, which were both of their jersey numbers. Sharia has been receiving messages and continued condolences on her Instagram, which is influential because she is a fitness coach and she has 167,000 plus followers on Instagram. I remembered when Kobe spoke highly of his sisters during the interview with ESPN in 2016. He considered them to be intelligent and smart, college educated women. He also said that he was very proud of them enough to have good jobs, have their own lives, and establish their own legacy. Additionally, in 2016, Bryant wrote an essay for the Players Tribune titled Letter to My Younger Self and elaborated on his relationship with Washington and Tab. I don't know if I pronounced that name right. That begins with a T. Purely giving material things to your siblings and friends may appear to be the right decision, he wrote. He also said, you love them and they were always there for you growing up, so it's only right that they should share in your success and all that comes with it. So you buy them a car, a big house, and pay all of their bills. You want them to live a beautiful, comfortable life, right? Brian added, but the day will come when you realize that as much as you believed you were doing the right thing, you were actually holding them back. Understand that you are about to be the leader of the family, and this involves making tough choices, even if your siblings and friends do not understand them at the time. Invest in their future, don't just give. That's what Kobe Bryant wrote. Sharia Washington and Shia Tab shared family personal photos of themselves with Kobe Bryant. This shows that Shari and Shia actually loved Kobe and they never once disrespected Kobe. Kobe always loved his sisters and his parents, even though he was not super close with them. That says a lot about their relationship, and I wish that his sisters had more time to be close with their brother. It's very unfortunate. During the current segment, I have to talk about how the parents were not honored and allowed to speak at the funeral. That pissed me off, and it was it for me. When Vanessa was disrespecting the parents, it was an insulting and a disrespectful move. I was not happy about it. Kobe fans were not happy about it. To me, Vanessa had some disdain on the parents over emotions, and that is what it was. I don't think that it matters whether people were aware the parents showed up to the funeral. Shaq O'Neal acknowledged the parents. Kobe's manager did not acknowledge the parents. They were dismissed. I did not respect that she threw the parents under the bus. She brought up the past and the personal issues. She did not have to deliver the negative energy towards the parents. It was insulting that the parents were thrown to the side and they were in the background. Unfortunately, the parents were not treated like they were his parents. Instead, Vanessa defined them as strangers. You have to give Shaq respect for that. Snoop Dogg also acknowledged the parents at the ceremony. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would not have gone to the funeral that is hosted by Vanessa because I got to see someone who is a narcissist. No one is present to hear why you were not on good terms with his parents. I would never allow my own spouse to disrespect my family. That is something people need to know. A normal family would not air out people's dirty laundry to the internet via social media. Vanessa drew the line. Once Vanessa did not let the parents speak at the funeral, I had to question and think about if she had any good intentions on marrying Kobe. When it comes to the funeral and not being acknowledged, I feel that I could have been the parents. I feel insulted. I feel disrespected. I would have respected it if Vanessa acknowledged the parents and allowed them to speak about their son. That just lets me know that Vanessa is very ungrateful. Every time I think about how the parents were not acknowledged at the funeral, I think about how Vanessa would act like she was more important towards Kobe than the parents. That screams disrespect. Please call it out in the background. This is embarrassing because Vanessa was airing out the problems that she had with Kobe's parents. My words to Vanessa are, this is not about you, so stop talking about yourself. I have to talk about the ceremony in the current segment. Recently, Vanessa was accused of not inviting the parents to the Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. As a parent, I would be insulted for not being invited to my child's ceremony. When it's about someone's child, the parents have to be there and you better acknowledge them. The parents did not need to pay anything if they were invited. I don't think that it would matter if they asked Vanessa to pay for their expenses when they arrived at the ceremony. Vanessa had all of this money and she could have paid for the travel expenses for both the funeral and the ceremony. It could have been food as well. In my personal opinion, Vanessa deserved the backlash. She got the backlash because she did not acknowledge the parents at the funeral. I know that she acknowledged the parents at the ceremony. I'm sure that any parent would be insulted for not being acknowledged and not being able to speak after their child passed at a funeral and they were not invited at the ceremony over their child's achievements. It's very sleazy. It's very spiteful. I'm glad that no one is praising Vanessa after disrespecting the parents at the funeral, and people are still dragging her because she's accused of not inviting the parents at the ceremony. What would be more insulting is Vanessa claiming that she invited the parents to the ceremony and lied about it. That is what would tick people off. That sounds very deceitful to lie about something that is sensitive because that is Kobe's parents. She was being called out for it by the internet. If the parents made a ceremony about their son, I would have gone because they are the people who shaped his life to be in the NBA. To me, she's benefiting from the ceremony for some reason, and I don't think that what she did with the ceremony was genuine. She was out of line for the way she disrespected the parents while Kobe was alive, not acknowledging and giving the parents to speak at the funeral and not allegedly inviting the parents and the family to the memorial. This is very messed up. It spoke louder to us when the parents did not show up to the wedding and the wedding ceremony. Enough with the parents. I'm on the next segment. I want to talk about Vanessa's ex-stepfather, Stephen Laine, because this is one of the real reasons Sofia is facing her downfall. When it came down to the marriage, Stephen did not agree to the marriage of Colby and his daughter Vanessa. Therefore, Stephen saw his daughter's marriage as a rapid decision because it was made in a hurry, it was rushed. At that time, Vanessa's age was not appropriate for marriage. I have to agree with it because there are a lot of dangers when kids get married. He had to fight to be off of the hook over spousal support. The relationship which Kobe and Vanessa shared was not legitimate. That is why Stephen Lane was not for the marriage. So her father, Stephen Lane, was very hesitant. At that time, his daughter, Vanessa, was only 17 years old. She got engaged to Kobe Bryant, who was 21 years old at that time. Stephen Lane recognized the age difference and he was not ready with the idea of marriage. But he attended their wedding ceremony in Dana Point, California. Stephen Lane, who has since started a new family, said, I have a 6-year-old daughter and that money could be used toward her college fund or something. You'd think she'd care, but no, she's spiteful. Address, which is located in Huntington Beach. Sofia Lane and Vanessa Bryant used Stephen's dad, who was money hungry. Family lived in a house at Garden Grove in California. He's actually talking about Sofia Lane. There, Vanessa went to Marina High School with his stepdad's nieces, Layla and Sasha. While Stefan and Sofia were married, the in the current segment, let me go over why I believe Stefan and Sofia Lane fell off. I didn't believe that the marriage was genuine between Sofia and Stefan. Sofia continuously bothered him because he wanted more spousal support from him, and she had no job. It concludes that Sofia Lane is greedy with money while she was married to him. Well, she was greedy. She did not work while she was married to Stephen Lane. I think Stephen Lane realized that she didn't have a job enough to support herself. It's possible that Sophia relied on Stephen Lane to live so she would not live in the streets. Sophia Lane was obsessed with living this lavish lifestyle, and that is why she was charging the ex-husband for spousal support. Stefan already spoke out about it and how he saw it. Sophia Lane thought that she could get away with charging her ex-husband spousal support. It was between $1,800 and $2,000. The idea that Sophia Lane was charging the ex-husband for spousal support is suspicious to me. She never worked while she was married to Stephen Lane. She didn't deserve the alimony and spousal support from her ex-husband because she was always more focused on materialism than loving Stephen Lane. That's just my opinion. I feel that Sophia thought that the spousal support would help Vanessa live a comfortable life after the divorce. That's a slap in the face because she should have found ways to financially support herself instead of relying on others for money. I feel that I have to blame the mother for the stepfather being bankrupt. It's very clear that Sophia being greedy was the downfall of the marriage. I can't say that I'm surprised about it. I honestly believe that Sophia was benefiting from being married to Stefan more than she loved him. It was the downfall of him being bankrupt. He had to start all over again after the marriage. He was trying to live his life stress free. I understand that he had to make adjustments in his life after the divorce. Once the materialistic demeanor showed, then that is how we know that Stefan was done with the marriage. Stefan realized that it was time to file for divorce and leave her, and he did it right. In the current segment, I need to go over why Stefan and Vanessa fell off. Stefan also called Vanessa a gold digger. That is very understandable, and he's not the only person who called Vanessa a gold digger. Once Stefan called Vanessa a gold digger, it let me know his true feelings about Vanessa because Vanessa allegedly did him wrong by using his money to buy luxury goods. Vanessa could have bought something else other than luxury goods. I mean, it's possible, and that's just my opinion. I would not be surprised if Vanessa was excessive with her spending habits. That's not what a daughter should do to a father that helped raise her. As the step parent, I would be pissed and betrayed. This explains a lot of their relationship. After the divorce, he and Vanessa were not close. Vanessa and Stephen Lane never communicated after the divorce. As a stepson, I would be a disgrace to financially abuse a step parent. That's not what you do with family. Looking back on why Stephen Lane was bankrupt, I always believed that Vanessa was materialistic because her mother taught her that. Her mother taught Vanessa that it was acceptable. It never sat well with me when I heard that Sophia Lane was charging the ex-husband for spousal support. I could never be Stephen Lane. Here is my conclusion on Stephen Lane. Stephen Lane was laying low after the divorce. There has not been any more updates after their divorce and how he was trying to start all over again. He was continuing to work hard financially so he does not have to be burdened by Sophia's toxic behavior. Probably the same with Vanessa. His intention was never to get into the spotlight. Stephen Lane did not want to be in the spotlight after the divorce with Sophia Lane. Stephen Lane chose to be private after the divorce, and I can't be mad at him for that. Every time you search up the name Stephen Lane, you don't see his face. You don't see a lot of images on Google. I may have seen one. He was never obsessed with fame. He is keeping his life private, from my knowledge. Regardless of this, he became known to everyone because of his stepdaughter Vanessa Lane Bryant. You know, she's well known to be this famous celebrity, a secondhand famous celebrity. You know, at one point in time, she was modeling while she was raised by her stepfather. I am on the next segment about Sophia Lane being kicked out of the home because she is suing Vanessa Bryant for being a big babysitter. She was not paid the way she should have been. It's about how Vanessa Lane was extorting Vanessa. The mother bashed the daughter because the money was not coming in the way it should have been. She's enraged. She expected to get paid $96 per hour for being a babysitter. Not only she wants to not only she want to sue Vanessa, but she also sued Kobe's estate because she expected that she would be taken care of now that Kobe is gone. I was angry about that situation and it bothered me. This hurts me too because I dealt with money hungry people I am for people who have access to rare things because they worked hard for their money. I like it when people are honest with their money, right? In the current segment, I'm going over the subject as being a grandparent in general. A normal grandparent would not ask their grandchild for money. That's not how you respect someone. If I extorted my own kids, I'm sure that they would never speak to me again. I would be in prison for extortion, and that's a fact. People have to be in prison for extorting other people. No one respects a person for extortion. What I learned about the crime is that type of behavior stays with you for the rest of your life. That's the way people will look at you. There's no credibility to be a good person. No one's going to trust you after that. No one's going to work with you after that. That respect people once had for you is gone. Sophia Lane should feel dejected for what she's doing to her daughter because that's not what a real mother does. A real mother would not ask her daughter for money so they can live a luxury lifestyle, and it's completely selfish. A real parent does not think about benefiting themselves when they have kids. That is what Sophia Lane was doing to Vanessa and her grandkids. A real parent does not think about how much money they would want so they have access to the latest luxury trends. It's frivolous and hurtful that her mother is giving Vanessa a hard time while Vanessa had to bury her husband and her daughter Gigi. $96 per hour is a lot of money. I find it very excessive because not everyone can make $96 per hour. I'm not hating on the number. That pay is very rare, and it's a weird amount of money. Most people can't make that much money in their life when people are actually working. People wish that they made that much money in their life. It sounds good to a lot of people, but I could care less about making $96 per hour. If a parent thinks about dollar signs every day, then it's a problem. It's a red flag. In the current segment, I'm going over Sophia's true character. Sophia was mad because she can't live the lifestyle she once lived in. It came from Kobe and the marriage. It's part of her true character that she's money hungry and greedy. That's what I don't respect about Sophia Lane. Everyone got a chance to see who Sophia Lane is. Maybe she thought that it's the end of the world when she can't eat at fancy restaurants anymore. If you have enough money to eat out, then go eat at local places when they're not expensive. Now she was on Telemundo. She was crying about how Vanessa kicked her out of the home. You shouldn't miss me with the tears because no one is buying it. Now that Kobe passed, the mother found the opportunity to take advantage of Vanessa and get money from her. I just don't respect people who don't believe in hard work and rely on people for money. That's a dangerous trait because you never know what someone could do to you, and it's shady of the mother. She thought that the times were good and she wore premium quality clothes when her life was good. She was probably comfortable that she would not wear clothes from Walmart or Target. Everyone still buys clothes from Walmart and Target. Why are you shamed now? She probably thought that it was the end of the world because she can't eat at the most expensive restaurants. Like, she can't eat the most expensive meals. Well, there are good looking fresh meals that are not expensive. I would hate to use my hard earned money for frequent expensive meals. She was wearing some clothes that came from a regular thrift store. That is probably why she was crying. I call that karma. Everyone called it karma. I highly believe in karma, so everyone expected something to happen to the mother. This has gotten personal. In the current segment, I want to talk about how Kobe should have handled things differently while he was married. While Kobe was married to Vanessa, I felt that Kobe dealt with the mother's toxic behavior and probably did not know how to handle it. He did not want to speak out about it. I do not believe that Kobe wanted to take care of Vanessa's mother because she was toxic towards him. In addition, she was not focused on loving him. I never once saw a picture of Kobe and his mother in law in a good way. I never saw her smile next to Kobe in a picture. I mean, a real smile. That's why I believe Kobe didn't want to take care of her. No one believed that Kobe and the mother-in-law were genuinely close with each other. The argument the mother came up with that Kobe said he was going to take care of her is not enough evidence why she deserved that money. I didn't see any proof of that. That is coming from the mother-in-law's mouth. If it ends up in court, I hope that the judge digs deep into her past on why she's not a trustworthy person when it comes to the money. If I was the judge, I would dig deep into her past based on the things she did to other people. Instead of the mother-in-law, Instead of the mother-in-law, Kobe's parents deserve the money. Go make your own money, man. Go make your bread because no one's gonna work for you. That legal case should be thrown out because she never worked hard for anything but relied on Kobe for money. That is not her hard earned money when it comes to Kobe's fortune. I mean, she also relied on her ex-husband for money. That's not a secret, and that is probably why Stephen Lane divorced her. The fact that Sofia sued Kobe's estate, I have not seen proof that they were obligated to take care of her. At the end of the day, I would not be surprised if Sofia extorted Kobe's estate. If I notice that someone's mother is spiteful when it comes to money, I'm not going to marry their child. That is Kobe's biggest downfall. In the current segment, I need to go in depth about how her actions are affecting the kids. It shows that she's not there to care for her grandchildren. Instead, she is there because she wants a check. I feel bad about how the kids' relationship is with Sophia Lane. This is disrespectful. A normal grandparent would care about their family more than money. I would be mad if one of my grandparents were thinking about money while my relatives are mourning the loss of my relatives. I would feel disrespected and insulted. I'm not going to give my relatives a check because I have to run a few errands and I can't take my kids everywhere I go. The mother is more concerned with the money than her son in law and her granddaughter passing, and it becomes selfish that she was not thinking about her granddaughter and Kobe. Sophia didn't spend time mourning the loss of Kobe and the granddaughter. To me, it's messed up. No real parent would sue their own kids for being a babysitter. That said everything I needed to know about Sophia Lane. Before I wrap this up, I have more things to say. It just shows that Kobe's parents were right about Vanessa and the mother. I have to honor Kobe's parents because they were permanently marked in his life and they raised him to be someone who was successful. Let's not forget his sisters. The ex-husband, Stephen Lane, was right about Sophia Lane. His parents were private people and they did not want to open up too much about stuff they didn't want the public to know about. People have to respect Kobe's parents' private lives and they're not going to tell everything for sure. There are people who trick others maybe in a relationship and there are a lot of women who do this. This is why people have to be careful who they are with. If there are people who have a track record of blinding people, chances are you are going to be in danger for being with that person because that's the type of person they are till this day, meaning today. That person's going to hurt you, especially when the ability to get an excessive amount of money gives you the privilege to do the most heinous, evil things in the world that connects to Vanessa. In my opinion, Kobe had a right to be rich because he worked hard to be where he was at. Basketball was one of the main reasons why he became rich, and his parents made sure that he had his success and maintained the success that he deserved. Basketball was his main outlet. Without basketball, he would not be a well known basketball icon. He probably would not have met Vanessa. If Vanessa never met Kobe, she might not have gone to the basketball games for free. Sophia Lane would not have lived a glamorized lifestyle and she would not have been promised to be taken care of without working. It's hurtful that Kobe didn't reconnect with his parents, but it did not change that his parents always loved him. They'll always be the parent's son. I wish that Kobe was close to his parents and his sisters, the same way that his kids would be close with his parents and his sisters. I want to say rest in peace to Kobe, his daughter, and the people who were on that helicopter. They did not they didn't deserve what happened to them. Kobe was wrong for the way he dissed his parents and how he didn't financially contribute in their life as well as his siblings. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't go through any financial troubles while he had successful seasons. Yeah, his siblings were not rich. In case they had financial troubles, Kobe could have financially helped his two sisters. When it came down to the mother, Sophia Lane, Kobe's parents were right about the mother, and I doubt that they will be any closer with each other. I don't blame the ex-husband for speaking out against Sophia Lane. They were also right about how Sophia Lane is an opportunist. Throughout the years, Sophia Lane did not change for the better one bit, and that is very toxic. Vanessa saw it for sure. As much as you want your parents to be good people, Sophia chose the bad route to be greedy with money. I already saw through the BS about how Vanessa was with Kobe and she reaped the benefits of what Kobe had prior to the marriage. That is a toxic relationship. I would never be with someone who only thinks about dollar signs. I would never call them a ride or die marriage because nothing's set right with me about Vanessa. I would not consider their marriage as relationship goals. It's bad to say that. this toxicity is affecting the kids, and I can't imagine how toxic it is in the family. Just remember, money is the root of all evil. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. You play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. Karma is not listed on the menu. You get what you deserved. This applies to the mother and Vanessa. People need to be careful with what they ask for when it comes to their desires because they might just get it. You will see that it gets taken away from you the next day. I don't know if that makes sense because Sophia Laine was in a quick, rich scheme when it comes to money with her ex-husband and Kobe Bryant. Now Vanessa, the cycle with being money hungry should have been broken a long time ago, but no one stopped it at all. Vanessa could have stopped it. To me, Vanessa snapped because something drastically happened, which is her mother extorting her for money. Never have a fallout with someone because someone did something drastically to you. Cut ties with that person before someone will do something drastically to you. I have to wrap this episode up. This is all I have for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please follow this podcast if you enjoyed the episode and you expect more variety of episodes. I talk about different things other than pop culture. Don't expect me to record only pop culture episodes because I talk about a lot of things. I will be speaking in the next episode.